gonna boycott this product because Makeup Forever has reformulated their powder foundation. They had, the prior formulation was one of my all-time favorite powder foundations, and it always is really, really risky when a brand reformulates a product that I really enjoy, because is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Is it going to be the same? And I just feel like it wasn't broke. It didn't need fixing, so I actually wasn't going to purchase the new one, but they did actually end up sending this to me in PR, so I'm gonna guinea pig it out for you guys, and I'm gonna tell you what I think of this new powder foundation. Now, this is a first impressions. As always, stay tuned because I will have this featured in a speed reviews once I continue to wear this more. But here we are. This is available. It just launched a couple of days ago. This is the new and reformulated HD Skin Matte Velvet Undetectable Long Wear Blurring Powder Foundation. That's a mouthful. So online it says this is a lightweight medium to full coverage powder foundation with a clean formula that blurs the look of imperfections and mattifies for up to 24 hours for a natural, real skin finish. So what is new about this formulation is, one, that it is clean now, which a lot of the brands are doing. I think it's a really trendy thing that's happening right now, and with an improved formula. So the clean, created without animal-derived ingredients is what is new, and it also is water-resistant, sweat-proof, and smudge-proof. I'm not sure if the old powder foundation said that it did that, but this is what they seem to be pushing now. And on the website, if you need some help finding your undertone that Makeup Forever does for their color matches and color ranges, definitely check out their website. They'll give you the trick for the veins in the arms and what undertone would be best for you. On the card that it gave me, this foundation has 32 shades across 4 shade families and 3 undertones, and there's supposed to be more options to come in the future. Makeup Forever normally has a very, very nice range of colors, and they're going to be $43 each, available online and in-store at Sephora and makeupforever.com. Now, I consider myself to be quite well versed in powder foundations because when I was a teacher, every single day I wore powder foundation. That was my go-to. So I'm going to give you my tips for powder foundation as well. So beforehand, prep is everything. Powder can be a lot on the skin, especially if you have dry skin, so make sure you're hydrated properly. I have normal to dry skin. I put on a heavy-duty moisturizer. My It Cosmetics is a really good one, so that's what I put on my face this morning. Put on my sunscreen, which is my Tula sunscreen, and then I've done this twice since doing my skin care. I use like a hydrating serum spray. This is the Dawa First Spray Serum. So my skin is really glowy and hydrated. And for a primer, for foundation that is powder based, I prefer something that is a little bit sticky. So it's important to have really hydrated skin because that's going to help the powder foundation not look dry, and it also is going to help the powder foundation just look a little bit more like a true liquid foundation where it's not going to dry the skin out. But in terms of application, I love a sticky primer like this Urban Decay All Nighter Ultra Glow Face Primer right here, because this is going to help the foundation be full coverage. Now, I don't know whether or not a sticky foundation like this, the Milk, the e.l.f., if they actually help with longevity, but I use a sticky primer because the powder will stick to it and you get the maximum level of coverage with powder. So that's how I like to do it. Ignore my nasty, crusty, disgusting nails. I do have a nail appointment today. So first things first, I'm going to start off by applying my primer. Like I said, this Urban Decay one is really nice because it's got a tacky base to it, which is going to help the powder stick to it better. Now, primers like the Milk and e.l.f. I find are really, really sticky, which can make it a little bit difficult to blend the powder foundation. So definitely give the sticky primers a few minutes to dry down a little bit. So I'm going to let that soak in. And then I'm going to start off with my liquid concealer. So I figured since I'm doing a Makeup Forever review today, I'm going to use the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Self-Setting Concealer. Now, if you're using a liquid concealer, definitely do it first because applying a liquid on top of a powder, you're really playing with fire there. I'm not going to apply too much. So a lot of times when I wear powder foundation, sometimes I will put a lot of liquid concealer down because some powder foundations just don't carry a bunch of coverage. So I use the liquid concealer to give the coverage, but we want to see how much this can do on its own. So this is just the Rephr Beauty concealer brush. Okay, so that is it for the concealer. I wanted you to see what we're working with base-wise here. You can see I have a little bit of pores right here. Like I said, my skin is more normal to dry, but a powder foundation is really good because I live in Florida. It's very, very humid. And we got a little bit of texture. I have a lot of freckles. So let's see how this does. They sent me 3 different shades, and I like the packaging of these because they match with the colors. So taking a look at the packaging, it is so nice, you guys. These have a 12-month lifespan and are made in France. And then here's the back. If you wanted to take a look at it, it has a press button to open it. You do have a mirror, you have the applicator, and then you have the foundation itself. They really did make it much cuter than the older packaging, which is just the black, which is fine. This is classic Makeup Forever, but this is definitely more sleek. So the shades that they sent me, they're a little weird. So I have 1N14, which I think is going to be my shade because the other shades they sent me, this is 2N26. That's not gonna work. What is this? 2N22. Also not gonna work, so hopefully that one works. In the old formulation, R330 was the shade that I used. So I'm actually on one side of my face going to use the sponge that they provided. I normally really like using these sponges for application of the powder. So this puff is interesting because it has a really flat side. This is the logo side. They recommend using the logo side for full coverage. And then the other side is a little bit softer, and this one is more for medium coverage, lighter coverage, or touch-ups. So remember, softer side, touch-ups or lighter coverage. Logo side is for full coverage. So here goes nothing. I'm using the logo side, and we're going to press. That's the key with this. Pressing motions. Can already tell I personally am going to prefer to apply this with a brush. I think it's just going to be quicker and more even. I'm going to flip the sponge over and try the soft side. I feel like I like the softer side better. I feel like it's spreading the product better as well. Interesting. Now I don't know if you can see. Look how dry it looks right there. That might just be my sunscreen though. My sunscreen's been acting weird with my foundations lately, so I'm not gonna think too hard about that. And then we're also going to press it on the nose. If you are super oily, I think you'll really enjoy powder foundations, but you can definitely work powder foundations on dry skin. Okay, so this is the first layer here, and you guys can see you get full coverage with this. I don't find that it's smoothing over the pores one bit, like at all, but it's pretty full coverage. So now I want to use like a kabuki style brush on the other side. This is typically how I prefer to apply these. So this one is from Sydney Grace. It's nice and soft. It's a little less dense than I normally go, but let's try it. And this color, by the way, if you're a color match with me, it's not a perfect match, but it works just fine. I'm not mad about it. So I find with using a brush, it gives a little less coverage, which is why I like to use this sticky primer, because that really helps the maximum coverage. Because I find with a brush, it's a less cakey application. It's a lot quicker. I think it uses less product as well, honestly, because I really dig in with the sponge. So I think the sponge is really great for on-the-go applications if you're traveling. But if you're sitting at home, I love a brush. I just feel like this applied it so much quicker. You maybe lose like a touch of coverage, but I think it's worth it because look, this side, I just think it looks better. It looks more even. In terms of application, it was easier. So still definitely recommend using a kabuki brush of some sorts to apply it. You definitely want to make sure it has density. If it doesn't have density, you're not going to like it as much. I'm going to use a softer brush. This is a Sigma F76 to set my under eyes because you don't want too much of the powder on the under eyes because then it will look really dry and crepey since the skin will move so much. So I'm just applying a little bit of that right here. So take a look, you guys. Here is the layer of the foundation. It looks a little dry, it looks a little heavy, but you need to trust the process. As a self-proclaimed powder foundation lover, it is going to look like this in the beginning, but as the day goes on and your natural oils come through, it will look truly like a liquid foundation, but it feels so much lighter. And you don't need to build up as much product as I did. For lighter coverage days, or if you just don't need full coverage, you can apply just a little bit, buff it into the skin, and it's going to give a light coverage. It is completely up to you how much you put on, but I think a lot of people underestimate powder foundations because look at this. It looks so good. Even where I said it looked a little bit dry beforehand, it's already started to settle onto the skin, and I think it looks really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of my makeup. We'll do some nice music and fast forward, and I'll meet you guys at the end here. Alright guys, so my full face of makeup is on. I'll have everything that I'm wearing down below. I used the Oden's Eye and Lauren May Beauty Sea Talk palette on the eyes today. So pretty. So here's how the makeup is looking. I desperately want to put on a setting spray, but I'm not going to. We're gonna see how this fares throughout the day. I saw an interesting comment on my own video when I was talking about this in a shopper drop. So Megan McCready said, the old Makeup Forever powder is a holy grail for her, and she compared the ingredients list, and she said that they did remove talc, and then dimethicone is also way further down on the ingredient list. So basically the lists are quite different, and she predicted that with the differences in formula that the powder is going to be drier. And I know you want to know how the old compares with the new. I just want to see standalone today if I like the new powder foundation formula, and then I have it planned in my schedule. This week I'm going to have a short go up where I do 1/2 of the old formulation and 1/2 of the new formulation. So make sure you subscribe and have the notification bell on because that content will be coming up later in the week. But here is how it is looking. So far, I do like it, but it is looking a little dry right now. It most definitely, it's a powder foundation. It looks like powder on my skin, but nothing crazy. In this area right here, my skin does look dry, and I did lightly use it to set the under eyes. You saw it looks really, really dry there. I felt this way about the older powder foundation as well. I don't like using powder foundation to set the under eyes. I find it just makes the under eyes look really thick and cakey. So I did want to test it today, but on a normal day, I'm not setting this with the under eyes, and I still feel that way. It just looks a little dry and a little heavy under there. But overall, I mean, I think my skin looks good. It gives me a pretty full coverage, but it looks like I'm wearing makeup right now and it looks a little dry. My skin looks a little thirsty, but that's to be expected with powder foundations on my skin type. I think if you have oily skin, you might have a different feeling right now. I mean, powder foundations are definitely great for oily skin people. So it doesn't look amazing right now, but that's how I normally feel with powder foundation. So I'm going to go in front of the window so you can get a closer look on my iPhone, every nook and cranny on my face. But I like how it looks. I don't love how it looks, but I'm hoping that it settles in throughout the day. Then here it is on my iPhone. Now keep in mind, my iPhone is very, very detailed to the point where some of the details I feel like aren't even noticeable in person, but you can see how my skin does look a little dry. and it certainly did not smooth out the pores on my skin, but my skin looks good. I really like it so far, but I'm hopeful I'm gonna like it even more as it settles in. Checking in, it's been about 4 hours, and I would say normally with most foundations, up to the 4-hour point, the makeup typically kind of looks the same from when it was applied. And especially since in these last 4 hours, honestly, you guys, I haven't done much. I've had my head down in work. Later on this afternoon, I will definitely put some wear and tear on this. Overall, I still think my skin looks nice. It kind of is looking more how it looked when I first applied as well. The only sort of change I'm seeing is right here. I just feel like in general, I might have applied too much. It looks a little thick and makeup-y right here, but it doesn't look bad. I don't have any oil collecting right now. It's just a little thicker. What I'm noticing, and I will do the side-by-side to confirm this, but I do feel like this powder foundation just makes my skin look a little bit more dry than the older formulation. Because at the end of the day, it is a powder. I expect my skin to look a little bit more dry, but I feel like it's looking thicker here than I've ever really remembered this powder foundation looking. But other than that, it looks pretty untouched. I'm still very, very happy with it. And I'm going to go out and actually do some things, and kind of thinking about it, is this powder foundation comparing to my favorite liquid foundations? No, I much prefer my liquid foundations, but I just love how light a powder foundation feels on the skin and how quick and easy it is to apply, especially when I use a tool like a kabuki brush. So far I'm still liking it. Love is a strong word. I don't know that this is better than the original formula, but I'm going to check in a couple more hours after I've left the house and have sweated a little bit more, because I feel like if you have oily skin, the powder foundation might have soaked into your skin a little bit more at this point and looks a little bit more natural. Whereas on my dry skin, but where I've been at home with the AC, not much has happened. So I'll check in soon. Alright, it has been about 9 hours since I first applied the foundation. I just got back from eating pie. It was yummy. I wanted to show you how the foundation is now looking, and I think overall, given the fact that it's had 9 hours of wear, it looks pretty good. What are you doing? No, I'm scared. I'm so nervous. So let's take a closer look. The area that it's breaking down the most in is right here. You can see I definitely have my smile line showing, which most foundations do, so I'm not bothered by that. And right here in this area, it's looking a wee bit cakey. Did not like it at all for my under eyes today, but my forehead looks fantastic. The outer areas of my cheek look fantastic. It still is on my chin. Some foundations will break up around my chin area for some reason and be horrible. This looks really good. Honestly, I think it held up well. I can't wait to do a side-by-side with the old formulation, because I really do think I like the old formulation better, but I still am enjoying this new formulation. I definitely think it is more suited towards oily skin. It isn't a game-changing powder foundation for me. I have some powder foundations I think that I might prefer over this one, but I'll come back to you on that. But overall, I think it's a good formula nonetheless. I know a lot of you guys are clean beauty conscious, as well as you don't like talc in your powders. So if that's the case, I think that this is a good powder foundation. But I'm not wowed, I'm not amazed. But that's because I'm kind of, the expectations were high for this, right? So I really need to see it against the old formulation to fully be able to tell. But overall, I like it. I don't love it. I think it's really nice. I think if you have oily skin, you'll probably love it more than me. I think it will kind of morph in with your skin more. So if you've tried this foundation, let me know your skin type and how you found that it worked for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for that updates video, and of course the short wearing it again compared to the older formulation. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a good one.